Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.
Hi, I'm Cherry Johnson with Watauga County Arts Council. You've probably heard, or if you haven't, you've not been paying very good attention, because we have moved to a brand new, gorgeous location. We are located in the building where Palucci's is located. In the space right up front, Suite A, we have a gift shop, in addition to our wonderful 2 galleries that are in there as well. And in this gift shop are all kinds of really cool treasures and all kinds of Christmas gifts that you might want to think about, hint, hint. Things even when you're feeling really selfish and you want to get one for yourself, there's some cool things in there for that as well. We have 66 local artists at the moment who are represented in that gift shop, artists of all descriptions. We have everything from authors to musicians to craftsmen to visual arts, as in painters and that type. All kinds of really cool things for you to choose from. And one of the things that I like about having a gift shop is that we used to have 3 galleries and we traded it for 2 galleries in a gift shop. And to me, it's an excellent trade out. Not that we necessarily wanted to give up a gallery, but I feel like we're better serving the arts community and the overall community in the gift shop because we have so many things in there that people wouldn't necessarily visualize happening in a gallery. For example, this is Cindy Long, and she is a wonderful weaver that we've had the pleasure of getting to know. And Cindy's work is not the kind of work that you would do a gallery exhibit with, not normally, you know. So this is, and you know, we've got other things like pottery and so forth that people don't usually do in a gallery exhibit. And so this gives us an opportunity to showcase artists and to help them with selling their work and so forth that would not fit into the old format that we had before. So this is really a cool thing. And of course, from your standpoint, the best part is you get to come in and enjoy it. We are open officially on Friday and Saturday from noon to 6, and on Sunday from Sunday afternoons from noon to 3 to 6. But also, because my office is located there, whenever there's staff around, the gallery and the gift shop are open. And sometimes, if you know me very well, you know that can be late at night. So there are all kinds of hours that the gift shop is available to you. So check us out, come on by. And if you want to make sure we're there, of course, I suggest that you call us first. And that number is 264-1789. Now, let's talk about Cindy and her wonderful weavings. I have had such a sensory trip just laying this out, let alone exploring your work anyway. You do some really neat work.
Thank you.
And also this strikes an old chord with me because back when I got my art degree, one of the things I did was weave.
Okay.
And so I got a little bit acquainted with weaving. Talk to me though, talk to me from the beginner's standpoint of what is it all about?
It's an interesting, as you said, sensory experience, an opportunity to work with both fibers and textures as well as the colors, seeing how the interplay takes place between the different elements of the fibers and different types of fibers that are available as well.
We were talking, I said when I picked this one up, this is a chenille. And it is so comfy and so warm. It would be wonderful on a cold day. But you said it's quite a bear to work with.
It's very elastic. I equate it to weaving with rubber bands because if the tension becomes too tight, the fibers are very quick to snap and pop.
Wow.
So if I'm in a challenging place when I sit down to the loom, I much rather have cotton on my looms than I would the chenille.
So do you keep multiple looms going?
I do. I keep 2 to 3 going at most any time with small pieces as well as large pieces.
Okay, now the ones we have here mostly are scarf size.
Right.
Which is a wonderful thing this time of year especially. Scarves are very in these days. And they're not just for warmth, they're for decoration as well.
Right.
And so we have quite an assortment here. And I have to ask you, now this one makes a lot of sense from the standpoint of a beginning weaver. You know, you've got your cross fibers and you've got your fibers going this way, and it's almost like a plaid effect. And they take, you know, there's several of those here. But you also have some that have patterns to them.
Right.
And I want to know what's the secret here?
That is determined by the way in which the loom is set up. Each loom has a set of harnesses or and heddles, as they are called, and they are threaded in sequence. And then on the floor looms, the harnesses are tied to pedals below. So the pattern is determined not only by the threading, but also the treadling or pedal pattern on the bottom of the loom to then create the patterns.
And I think the majority of folks understand the basic concept of weaving. You've got threads going one way, and
the
threads
warp
going
and the
another
weft.
way. Yes.
Right.
And then you have the heddle that.
The shuttle.
Shuttle that has the fibers, and you've got two different fibers in that.
Correct. Right.
And so you've got ways that you can influence the color pattern that way.
Right.
Do you ever get in there and go, oops, didn't mean to do that, take it back out again?
Right. And that's the nice part with the weaving, unless it's a very complex pattern. Typically, you can just reverse the pedaling sequence and be able to take your pattern back out. Right. Put it in reverse and back it up. And then start over
just
again.
Like your car.
Right.
Now, the assortment of scarves that you have, I know that you do things like Valley Country Fair and different events like that, where that you have a booth. You also have several with us.
Right.
Where else do you have your work available?
River Cross Market in Valley Crucis will be putting pieces in at the Ash Arts Council very soon.
Yeah.
And Hands Gallery downtown. I believe at this point in time, that is it. I am not on Facebook or the web at this point in time. So primarily the galleries and then the shows that I do at River Cross or the various fairs.
So now talk to me about weaving and how did you ever get into this in the first place?
The saying in the family is that I was playing with string the day I was born. I think that that's probably not quite accurate, but I do remember that in school, instead of putting me in timeout, all the teacher had to do was take my string away. And it was the worst punishment that I could receive. So fibers have always been a part of my being. When I was living in North Florida in the late 80s, I walked into a thrift shop and there was a loom that had a sign on it which said, "This funny looking thing, $50. And I knew that it was worth a whole lot more than $50. Wasn't quite sure about how to use it, but I bought it and took it home and played with it in '92 after I had moved over to Ashe County. A weaving class was being offered as part of the continuing ed through Wilkes Community College. And I took that, and the instructor, who I believe was Linda Rourke, kept saying, "You have woven before, why are you in this class?" It is something that is just innate
I started saying you seem to innately know how to do it.
Right. Someone somewhere in the family tree had to have been a weaver, but I do not know.
So it's not
who
something
this
that
is.
your sisters and your grandmother and all that
No,
are
my
doing?
sisters look at the weaving loom and they just want to scream.
Huh.
My middle sister says she is string phobic. She sews incredibly well. But as far as the fibers, there's no one else
Interesting.
in the family
So it's just
who does
genetics
this.
somewhere back
Right,
in the...
exactly.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, so it's a fascinating process, and I just sit down as long as I get out of the way. It happens. Thus, my cards say spirit-inspired weaving.
Now, do you make decisions before you start? I mean, you have to because you have to warp the loom.
Right.
So you're, you're setting it up. You know basically, okay, I've got red and blue thread here.
Right.
I'm doing that.
Right.
But do you, as you go this way, is that something that as it happens, or is it something that you're mapping out in your head?
It varies depending on the piece. Certainly with one like this, with the pink and the gold, with the
this
pattern.
one, yes.
I had to plan the light and the dark fibers with that and pick the pattern. Something such as the plaid that you have there in your hand. Typically, I've got multiple shuttles threaded beside me, and I just pick them up and it happens.
Right.
As far as having a schedule of these colors or what I'm going to weave next, unless I've got orders, all the yarn is typically in a bucket or on the shelves, and I just randomly.
You have one of those wonderful rooms with all the different fibers around the room.
My spare red room is the yarn room. So weavers can never have enough yarn, you know.
That's true. Now, what's your favorite fibers?
It changes. At times it is the cotton because of the strength and the durability of it. And at other times I enjoy the challenge of the chenille, the warmth, and the softness. So it's ever changing for me. Have also enjoyed lately playing with some of the slub yarns, which are very
What is a slub yarn?
textured. They will have a combination of fibers, but you will go from a fine yarn, I don't have one here unfortunately, from a very fine yarn to it will actually have lumps of
I've
threads.
seen that. Okay.
Right, in that. So I've been working with some of those of late as well. So it's, again, ever evolving, ever changing, just
So what's the most expensive, most extravagant fiber you've ever worked with?
probably the chenille, because it
Really?
can run, depending on where you're purchasing it, $20 to $30 a pound.
Wow.
For that fiber.
Wow.
So you don't want to mess up with that one. And I try to get as many of my fibers as possible from mills here in the state of North Carolina.
You're certainly in the right place to do that.
Right. Well, as they continue to wax and wane with going out, unfortunately, due to outsourcing.
So you have a palette to please just about anyone. I mean, there's something here for everyone, and I'm sure you would do things to order as well.
Right.
So now your range of things, now we're looking mostly at scarves here. There's a couple of bigger pieces here, but primarily what we're looking at right now is
Right.
that. But you said that you sometimes will do other things as well.
Right. I do liturgical pieces, do some split capes, ponchos, those type things.
Ooh, I love those.
Have also done household pieces, but typically focus more on the wearable and the liturgical pieces.
So you can wear your art.
Right.
Yes. And you know, that's a big deal. I mean, nothing against buying a wonderful painting and hanging it on your wall, but if you're not in that room, you're not enjoying that piece of art.
Right.
You
This
know.
way it is portable and can go with you wherever you are at.
Now, speaking of portable, now this is a portable loom, but it's not the kind of thing you exactly take on a road trip and do it in the car when somebody's driving.
Right. Right. It would be a little awkward.
Is there any part of your work that you can do that with?
I take the work with me. Everybody who knows me laughs because there is always a bag of the pieces with me.
Every fiber artist I know
where
does
I'm
that.
at because I am sitting and finishing the fringe on the pieces. Each of my pieces, I hand tie the fringe, one for a nice finished effect, but also to prevent the fibers from retracting back into the piece.
Yes.
The chenille, the rayon, and some of the more slippery fibers are very quick.
Now, what's
to do that.
What is your most frustrating experience you've ever had?
Learning to weave with chenille.
Well, she's got a thing for this deal.
After my first piece with it, I had not put it on the loom tightly enough. The chenille fibers have to be packed far more tightly than the cotton fibers. And I had not put it on tight enough, so I got this beautiful piece off the loom, and within 2 days, it had, as we say, wormed, and the chenille was just bumped all through the piece. It was a complete
And
waste
you didn't say,
of
but
time.
I meant to do it that way.
No, it was quite obvious that it was not meant to be that. It looked awful, so.
Now, your work is primarily functional weaving.
Right.
There is a style of weaving that is very unique and well, it's not unique, but it's different from this, where people will weave things such as sticks or other
Right.
items into
Right.
the fibers. Now, have you ever tried that
I
kind of
have
thing?
done some of that and have done a couple of tapestry pieces. But this, right now, in my journey with this art form is where I am at with the wearable pieces.
Right.
But as I say, it's a journey that is ever evolving. So I don't
know-
know what will start next.
And I was talking recently to another artist, and it's something you always know, but you just finally verbalize it. And I said, you know, every artist I know, no matter whether it's a choreographer or a writer or a painter or whatever other kind of artist it might be, always has a little thing floating around in the air around them. You know what I mean? You can't
Right.
see them, but there's all these little ideas
Right.
running around every artist's head. So what kind of little ideas are floating out there?
Like I say, right now I can get up tomorrow morning and it can change for me. So I'm just on the journey. Some of the pieces with the beads, the sticks, those type things, may at some point even be interesting to experience with the wearables.
Now, do you do work that's specifically for hanging? I mean, like
I have,
wall hangings?
right, I have done some wall hangings, did one of actually Blue Mountains at one point that turned out quite well. That was done with cotton and rags. So have done a variety of pieces, but right now, this is where the journey's at. And
That's just so cool.
we'll see where it goes.
It's so nice to have your work in the gallery. I would like to encourage artists that are out there to bring their work in, because I think the more diversity that we offer in our gift shop and gallery, the more enticing it is to everyone to come in and see what's in there. And a lot of times you'll get in there and you'll discover things that you didn't know that you were even looking for.
Right.
And so I feel like that if there's another fiber artist out there, or any kind of an artist, whether it's blowing glass or whatever it is, if you are interested in carrying your work in our gift shop, it's a really great arrangement. The artists are, we try to take good care of them. And we try to ensure that they know that we do it in a professional way, so that they know what work they've got and what's sold and what's not sold and so forth. And we have a newsletter we just started putting out to our newsletter, to our gift shop artists, so that they will be able to keep up with what's happening from time to time. So it's kind of like its own, we're trying to encourage our own little kind of artist colony among our arts community. And so we encourage you to become part of it. It's an open door. All you got to do is come and share with us what you do, and perhaps we will be able to jury it right on into the exhibit and or into the gift shop, and be able to include your work, and you'll put it right up there beside Cindy's great stuff. So we encourage you to come in and especially come in and just explore her fibers. They are just, I had so much fun putting this stuff out because it feels so good.
Half the fun is petting them, as so many people say.
So that's your animal experience.
Right. At Valley Fair, I had a large, one of the split capes up, and I don't know how many people came by to pet that. And 3 days later, I got a call from a gentleman from Texas who was panic-stricken. He was afraid it had sold, and he had been unable to get it for his wife.
But there's always another one.
No.
You can always make another
All
one.
of mine are one of a kind. So we fortunately got it to Texas, had to ship it to Pennsylvania to his parents because his wife peeks at her gifts. And then when they go out for Christmas, they will fly it with them.
What these artists will do for you?
We aim to please.
Really. Now, I'm going to ask her to share some of her with us. Give us the basics. Okay, give us this piece is this, right quick.
Right. On this loom, we have, as Cherry said, a red and a blue yarn to create stripes and a little bit of visual contrast. With each piece, the yarns are wound onto the loom, either from the front to the back or back to front. And then the thread is carried here on a shuttle. On this one, as you can see, I've got both colors to be able to create a plaid type design. The yarn goes through the reed on the loom, and then is, as I said earlier, threaded through the harnesses and the heddles, which are essentially a needle with an eye in the middle of it. They, on this loom, are controlled by the levers here on the side. On my larger looms, they are controlled by foot pedals.
And what happens when
underneath
you move those?
So when you depress the levers here, this goes up and locks, and because I already have a red stripe in place, I will go ahead and start with blue. When the colors are changed, they simply overlap one another, and then you begin the pattern. The yarn is placed through and then beaten back with the beater bar. As I want to advance the pattern, I go to a different lever on this loom. And the process just continues here. I have a 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern, which is very basic, going back and forth.
And you can change that as you go.
Right. It's up to the weaver as to how this gets changed
So
to
for
create
those who like
different patterns.
predictability, this is very therapeutic.
Right.
But then if you aren't predictable, you can
You
be
can
unpredictable.
just right be as random as you would like, and that's the joy and the challenge at times of the weaving, because you can think you've got a pattern all figured out if you're doing it at random, and then see that it's not going to work out. But that's the basics
That's great.
of the process.
And I know that if you're interested in learning more about it at the Cove Creek Senior Center, they do
Right.
offer a class.
And I believe Watauga Senior Center as well. Those I think are still taught by Donna Duke.
Okay, so there's
Right.
opportunities to become a weaver.
Right, and Crossnor also
Okay,
teaches.
yes, yes.
Right.
So I encourage you to come and not just explore the sensory experience and purchase something to take home and wrap around your neck every day, but also to come and explore the colors and all of the different things, and maybe even try your own hand at it.
Right.
Cindy's going to be at our next gala reception weaving, so you can have an opportunity to come and see her working and see it up real close.
And give it a try if you'd like.
She'll let you play with it.
That's right.
All right. Cindy, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure.
It was great to have
Great to
you.
be here.
Watauga Arts Council with your host, Cherry Johnson, serving arts in Watauga County for more than 30 years.